there are growing calls here in the East Midlands to halt fitness to work assessments by the contractor Atos. We've spoken to one Derbyshire man with an incredible story. He was born with one arm and claims he was asked at his assessment if his other arm would grow back. Atos deny those claims, but once again it's raised the whole issue of assessments and whether or not they should be scrapped. Chris Doidge reports.
Gary Swift lives alone in North Derbyshire. He's been in work in the past, but now struggles to find an employer willing to take him on.
They tried to get me to lift boxes and what have you out at storeroom.
Gary was born with one arm. It makes lifting objects around and some other tasks difficult. His disability has also led him to being bullied at work. He'd like to work as a driver, but hasn't been able to get a break.
Every time I go for a tribunal, I just get rejected from it. They're basically saying I'm not disabled, I can work, but obviously I can't work because I keep getting rejected all the time. So it's just like a never-ending circle.
He was told to take a work capability assessment, but was surprised by the questions he faced. Gary, what did Atos ask you?
They asked me if they see my arm growing back in the next 2 years. And me and my mum just looked at each other as if say, are you being realistic here, or I've born like it, so it's not going to grow back in the next 2, is it really?
A local charity says Gary's case is not uncommon.
There are documented cases, not just in Derbyshire, but throughout the country, of people who have felt that they have not been treated with dignity throughout this process. It's been designed to rush people through.
Of course, job seekers like Gary receive training to help them find work. But in his case, it wasn't exactly suited to his needs.
They send you out in the countryside, putting kissing gates up, and basically you've got to dig a hole, obviously for the post to go in. So I would just stood next to everybody for 13 weeks, because obviously I can't dig with one arm.
Atos is keen to point out that it only advises the government on people's capability, but it's the Department for Work and Pensions which ultimately makes the final decision. For its part, the Department of Work and Pensions says,
a decision on whether someone is well enough to work is taken following a thorough assessment and after consideration of all the supporting medical evidence we are given. The previous government appointed Atos. We have made significant improvements to the work capability assessment, and we are bringing on board additional providers to carry out assessments.
With complaints about Atos getting louder in the East Midlands, there are more and more people like Gary waiting to see if the process will be fixed anytime soon.
Well, we did ask Atos to join our discussion, but they told us no one was available. In a statement, they refuted Gary's claim categorically. They insist their staff are highly trained professionals and wouldn't have asked a question like that. Well, one would hope so, Pauline. But there's no denying that this is causing a lot of stress, and Gary clearly feels that the system isn't helping him.
Well, clearly he's been put on the wrong sort of work experience to find out. He can't dig. I mean, it is a very sad case that he's had this awful situation thrust upon him, but I don't think he is unemployable. There are jobs he could do, and I think for the majority of people who are disabled, if they can work, it's better for them.
Well, and many want to.
Most of them do want to, but there's some, and I'm not saying he's one that doesn't want to work. Clearly he would like a job and it would be good for him, but the sort of experience that he was sent on was wrong for him, and we've got to get it right. But things are being tweaked all the time. The system is getting better all the time.
You think you're getting this right?
We are. I mean, there's still going to be people slip through. There always will with any system, but it is getting much better than it was when it's first started, and it has got thousands and thousands of people into work who were thinking they were disabled and couldn't work.
Toby Perkins, Dennis Skinner, the Labour MP for Bolsover, described Atos in the Commons as a cruel, heartless monster. Do you agree?
Well, I think certainly the way the system is working is really cruel, but also utterly incompetent, because stories like Gary's are, whilst they're not entirely commonplace, every single week in my surgery I will see someone who has been wrongly classified. I've had Kevin Mooney come to see me just this morning. His life was wrecked in a car crash, but the car crash was just the start of his problems. Then he got into the Atos system. He went through the tribunal. The tribunal found him found he was nowhere near fit to work, recommended he shouldn't be reassessed for a year. Within 6 weeks of going through all that process, he gets the whole thing starting again. He's going to be assessed again.
And all this costs more and more money each time, doesn't it, Pauline?
Yeah, but it is better for people to be in work than to be on benefits. That's proven, and they do want to work, many of them. Of course, there'll always be people who can't work, and we should be looking after those people, and we should be making sure that their assessments are fair. But they can appeal. They can also ask for it to be redone. And that's what people need to do.
But they don't want to have to keep going through the system like that, surely.
Of course they
don't. I know it's an option, but who'd want to go through that over and over again?
Well, of course you don't want to, but if you're claiming public money, I think you have to until the situation has been clarified. And clearly, that gentleman can't do a digging job. That's absolutely obvious. He said he wanted to do a driving job. That may not be an option. But there are other jobs out there, and he could have training to get another job.
Why are Labour making such a fuss about this now? I mean, you've not done much to help in the past on this.
Well, I think we've done a tremendous amount to help, actually, and I think that the principles behind the work capability assessment, trying to find out what people can do rather than they can't do it, are fine. But what we have is a really adversarial DWP led by the incompetent but heartless Ian Duncan-Smith, who is actually driving people, that are driving literally people mad. We are seeing, we've had 2 people in Chesterfield found fit for work and they died of their conditions. We've got people that have got serious mental health problems, and we've got doctors saying, you are making my patient iller by going through this process.
Heartless and incompetent, Pauline, and lots of cases he's citing there, not just Gary's case, as we've seen.
I mean, Ian Duncan-Smith is not heartless. He cares because he knows it's better for people to be in work. That's why he's gone through all this process, and he spent years trying to perfect it before he was in government, before he was before he was the Secretary of State. And he has done it to the best of his ability, and most of it is working. It isn't all working, no, but no system is perfect.
New advisors, other advisors, isn't this a sign that it's not going very well? It's not working.
No, it is working for most of the people most of the time. There will always be cases, and I've heard that case about Gary. It's been in the papers. It's a well-known case, and it is ridiculous. And he does need to be reassessed, and he should ask for a reassessment.
75% of people who have an appeal, who are supported by advice agencies, win their appeal. It's costing a fortune, but it's putting them through terrible stress. We all want to see something done to support those people who are trying to get into work. And we all recognise there's a small number of people who just don't want to work, but this system isn't working, and if this government's got any heart about it at all, it should reassess this system totally and get it done so it actually starts working for people like Gary. It's totally broken.
But the heart is there because they're trying to help people get into work and give them the training to do it, and I think that's a good thing.
It's not working.
OK, well, let's leave it there, guys.